Okay, so before I go outside here, I'm going to do a little video. Now I'm uploading a video. It's called "You Can't Hide from Your Problems." That was Andre's title. He asked me what I was doing and stuff. And, you know, I was explaining to him, right, the type of video I was talking about and stuff, and what's going on with the house and the landlord and just everything. And he goes, "Yeah, man, you can't hide from your problems, right?" Because I try and tell him, like, you know, you have to, you can't run, you can't hide, right? I wasn't going to call it this, but after talking to him, you know, and explaining to him kind of what's going on, and, you know, why Nana has to, you know, hunker down and work in the yard and just whatever and just keep going, right, no matter what, and don't be afraid, right? You know, because, you know, he's always worried about where's the cat's going to go if we get out of the, when we leave this house, right? That's the number one thing on his mind. He doesn't want to lose his cats, right? And, of course, I try and reassure him that won't happen. But, anyway, so that's how that title came in. You know, I'm on the fence with this video, too, that I'm uploading right now. Because, you know, these are, like, subjects that people don't like to talk about. You know, but that's not to say that how I gotta turn off. I got a headache. I got this massive freaking headache brewing, people. I just took two what is that called? Tylenol, but this is clearly a tension headache, and what this eye doctor did, you know, because there's something wrong with this eye. Like, it's been something wrong with it for a while, and maybe that's why it felt the way it did when they did that laser, but definitely felt like something was shot into it and it stuck like a nail, you know, and it's inside now, right? Not 3 nails, but 4, because I, you know, can feel it, and it's starting to get goopy again, like a goop, like it just whatever, but have to work around it, right, people? So anyway, the reason I'm turning on this video is because I had another dream. I'm getting these bad dreams again, just like when I had that dream with Shimei with, you know, from the neck up, dead, right? And a few other dreams I've had along the way. I have never had so many bad dreams than I have in this house. To which I think, honestly, people, you know, you can deny what I have to say here, but I think some of these dreams that I've had while being in this house, as I'm being gang-stalked, and my family is being gang-stalked over a period of years, has been somehow related to that voice-to-skull technology that, you know, you go to sleep and, you know, they tap into your brain and they, you know, I don't know, because, you know, it's warnings. I don't know what it, like, I couldn't prevent Shimei from being murdered, people. Like, it was so insidious how it happened that I would never have clued in that it was happening until it happened. But because I had the dream over a period of time, it helped me to connect the dots. Because I was kind of already emotionally prepared for it when it happened. Not that I wanted to be, but it was like no surprises. Oh my God, she looked exactly like she was in my dream. Not once, but twice. Once downstairs, and then again at the hospital. Really at the hospital, people, when they turned off that machine, and within a few minutes, their formaldehyde fluid changed the color of her skin. Okay, like, we're dealing with some really deviant people here that are doing very deviant things. Okay, so either or. Now, when Uncle John was here, right, because this has been a very unhappy house, a lot of stress from almost day one. First week I moved in, people, the pipes backed up. We couldn't wash dishes in neither sink. We couldn't do laundry because of that whatever problem that they had in their pipes before we even moved in. And because it was right at around Christmas time, we went like 2 weeks with no laundry, and I just basically moved my family in. and we can't wash dishes, and any dishes that we could wash had to be done in the bathtub, you know, and the excuse was, well, it's the holidays, you know, nobody's going to come, and now it's the new year, nobody's going to come, and then they came, and eventually they snaked it out. And then it kept clogging like clockwork every 9 months, right? And of course, I'm being accused of doing something when in fact it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with their pipe underneath the bathroom floor at the joint or something that was broken, because eventually, after years of them having to snake out, and then we snaked out too, right? They decided to try and fix the problem then, and so they started busting up the basement bathroom floor, and through that process they somehow broke the mainline pipe outside. And then so whatever I had done in the yard for the last 4 years in terms of laying down the bricks and sifting the sand and doing whatever and whatever, they just completely fucking ripped it up. Got video on that, people, and I had to start all over again, and then they sicked the city on me. Okay, this is where Uncle John would say, this is where they create the stress, they keep the family at a high level of stress. So that, you know, if you can't do dishes, you can't do laundry, you got a house full of people, regardless of whether they're teenagers, adults, or whatever, and, you know, and it goes on for 2 weeks, and, you know, what do you think is going to happen? People are going to bicker at each other, right? If the sink keeps clogging every 9 months, and the laundry you can't do every 9 months, and, you know, and blah, 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 and it takes a few days to get it fixed because of this or that or whatever, and, you know, people are bickering, and then not to mention this problem and that problem, and just, okay? Well, it hasn't stopped, people. It hasn't stopped, and you know, I deal with the gang stalking, right? Because it's like I'm in a time warp. You know, like my neighbor over here has been living in the house that she rents for 20 years. Some dude came and bought 4 houses in a row, scared the shit out of her, told her she had 1 year left because he was tearing all 4 houses down. He didn't care where she went. And we're talking an elderly woman that had been in that house for 20 years. Okay, and she's got a pristine yard that you don't even know. Okay? And she runs lights and everything. Like, she's given up her life for that yard. Okay? Just kind of like me. But you got some rich dude coming in, and well, I bought these 4 houses and I'm tearing them down and I'm building a freaking 7-story condo. You know, get the fuck out. So, you know, anyway, I guess the economy kind of changed for some people. Obviously not for others. I guess it depends on what group of the UN soldiers you're working with here, okay? And so anyway, he ended up going back to her and said, look, I'm not, you can stay because I'm not doing anything. Cut me, you know, she writes checks. And then, you know, he just runs them. The point is he never raised the rent on her, people. So she's kind of stuck in that time warp. Because he can't legally evict her. Because she hasn't done anything wrong. But yet, since they started building these buildings, her property gets flooded out from this building that sits empty when the rains come, because they have a drainage problem in the basement. Right? So she's had 3 trees in her yard fall because of root rot from the water saturation in her yard now. Her shed floods out and destroys half her shit, okay, that she has in the back, literally. And like this lady, like you don't even know. You know, she's really, you know, if Halloween comes, she puts out all this Halloween stuff. If Christmas comes, she takes out, you know, puts all the Halloween stuff, and then she puts out lights and trees and reindeers, and, you know, because she's been there for 20 years, right? And she go into her garage after the rains, and everything's sitting in water. Like water. Because of property development. Right? And, you know, this landlord just keeps her hanging. And I talked to her, like, have you, you know, because, you know, she's looking around, right, trying to find it. But no, she can't find nothing, people. She's in her 70s, and she can't fucking find nothing. That's affordable. Right? In the event of when it's her turn. But at this point, because, you know, she's not a new tenant, that landlord can't raise the rent by threefold. Because the rest of the Joneses, Punjabis, Muslims, or whatever, the homeowners, the property developers, you know, that's where they got it at. Through that organized religion in partnership with organized crime to keep the economy going, whether it's mainstream or the underground economy. That's the only thing that props up the economy, people, is the housing market, and it's completely corrupt. So she's stuck in that time warp. Unless, of course, the landlord really wants to get dirty and throw her shit out in a fucking bin, just so that he can move in new tenants and get $5,000 a month for a house that he plans on tearing down sometime in the quote-unquote near future for property development. So I'm in the same kind of situation. I've been in this house for 13 years. My landlady resents that because she can't maximize on the current market value in terms of, she wants $2,200 upstairs, $2,200 downstairs. That's $4,400 compared to $1,950 because I'm stuck in that time warp. So therefore, somehow that allows me to be targeted. Not once, not twice, but consecutively, year after year. And it doesn't start and stop with me. It goes into the family, people. Shemay is dead. Sierra is dead. And still, after 2 years of her being dead, my landlady is throwing her in my face, saying, well, your son needs to get out of the basement because you got a drug-addicted daughter. Yeah, well, did you forget she's dead? I know you don't care that she was lured to her death. I know you don't care that her organs were illegally taken out of her body through fake freaking investigations that protected the suspect. I know you don't care about any of that shit. The only thing you fucking care about is the fucking money. By any means necessary. Because there's a pattern in there. So, but I'm locked into that because if she came to me tomorrow and said, well, the current value is $4,400 for your house, even though I'm tearing it down, and if it won't be me tearing it down, it will be the next person that buys it that tears it down, because that's all I've been listening to pretty much ever since I fucking moved in. I'm sorry, I'm not fixing that because it's an old house. It's going to be torn down because this whole neighborhood is property development. Well, if that was the case, why did you tell me move in, stay as long as you want, and never raise the fucking rent? What were you trying to get out of me with that freaking old okie dokie? Because as soon as I moved in, it switched. You don't like it, you can move. Fix it yourself. I'm not fixing it. Whatever. And then by 2016, oh man, after Uncle John was gone, the pressure just, right? But it wasn't like she could come and say, well, it's $4,400 current market, pay up now. They've been trying to do that, people. That's why I do these videos. Last time they wanted 35, now it's 44. Okay? That was last year. They wanted 3,500. From me. Or vacate half the house. Right? Yeah. Whatever. That's when they threatened to bring the fucking bins in. And if you notice, I think about those fucking bins all the time. And when I try and finally relax, just even for a little while, thinking that I can worm my way out of this fucking house and get to a safe zone, even though there's no freaking safe zone in British Columbia, Canada, what happens? Out of the blue, right? Now I'm evict your son again, because I'm moving in my son. Somebody in her family. Because she's signing over to him so that he can live here for 3 years so that they don't have to pay fucking taxes. Yeah, okay. It's not just one son. It's going to be 10 of them moving in. Because that's the pattern. That's how they do it, people. That's why they kick out their tenants, people. That's how they amass great wealth, people. It doesn't take much to connect the dots. But you see, I seen this shit coming long before it fucking showed up at the door, and this is why I'm doing this video, because I don't know. I don't know if it's voice to skull that tells me these things before they happen in a roundabout way, right? Or if it's just me, where, you know, I'm under stress. And when you go to sleep, your brain processes that stress. And that's why you dream. But they're so vivid. And they're not healthy dreams. That's the problem. That's why I say this is a miserable house to live in. All it does is produce terrible dreams. And some of them come true. And it results in death. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. I dreamt with John that I was going to be crying with John when Joan was downstairs in the basement with him. And guess what? I'm still crying for John because of fucking Joan and her bad attitude. If she wouldn't have left him that money, he'd still be alive here with me and we'd get the fuck out of this fucking stupid house. Because his sister wouldn't have touched him with a 10-foot pole. And the government sure wouldn't have fucking cared. They would have left him to rot out in the fucking street like they do with the rest of the poor old folks as they're being evicted from their freaking homes, even though they've been there for 20 fucking years. Okay. This is why I have a headache. And I'm making it worse. But I had a dream last night, or this morning, or whenever, and it relates to my son. This is 2 times because I can't dream about my dead daughters anymore because they're dead. They can't hold my daughters against me unless they show up at my fucking door and remind me that Sierra was a drug addict and that's why my son needs to get the fuck out of here. Because my kids are drug addicts. Like, fuck off. Leave me alone. Why are you bringing up that Sierra was a drug addict? Again, you didn't care that she got murdered, lured to her death, and the cops covered that one up just as much as they covered it up with Schmay. You don't care that your people go around harvesting fucking whites, blacks, and natives. No, because it just allows you to live longer. That's all. Or who knows what you could buy more houses. So why should you fucking care? You don't. Okay, stay focused. So the first dream was after my son's girlfriend moved in. 'Cause I can't dream about Shemay no more. She's dead. That dream came true. Can't dream about Uncle John. That dream came true. He's dead. And I'm crying. Still, to this day. That dream came true. Sierra, well, I can't say I dreamt about Sierra, but everything that I felt that was going to happen to her in terms of being in a snuff movie at the end of the day ended up being that way, right? Just by the whole thing, the way it played out with those nasty, dirty cops and John Hart and everything. It's not, and that freaking body dude guy's looking at a cell phone, smiling as he's walking out the door with the cops saying, "Did you get what you know? Did you get the cell? Did you get the stuff? Are you coming back?" Well, I don't know. He's a body dude guy. He didn't take the body out. He must be coming back. Why is the cop asking him if he's coming fucking back and if he got the stuff? Right? Because she was behind that door in a snuff movie. Does my landlord care about that? Fuck no. Because I guess if Sierra sacrificed, it saves her fucking grandkid from being sacrificed. Right? Right? Okay. So, and then, now I'm dreaming about my son. Because I'm worried. Right? I'm worried for their future. My kids' future. My grandkids, the ones that are, here, and my children that are alive, including my son or whatever. And so when she moved in and all that kerfuffle happened with the shit being thrown out, that was enough stress to trigger a nightmare. Another bad dream in a house that's all I ever had is bad fucking dreams. I can't think of one fucking good dream that I've had since I've been in this house, people. And I've had a lot of bad dreams in this house, and I've never dreamt so many bad dreams until I moved into this fucking house. And I'm still having bad dreams, okay? I'm documenting another bad dream, and I'm trying to internalize and try and figure out what this dream is telling me and where is it coming from, and is it being provoked by these nasty things that fucking keep stalking my family and harassing me and whatever, and what, just going for blood all the time, going for fucking blood. Like, I'm just waiting, who's going to disappear next, who's going to get injured next. And when I go to sleep, trying not to think about that stuff, obviously it manifests through my dreams so that I can get up in the morning and go work in the yard. Right? Because you know I'm going to do that today, even though I got a massive fucking headache. Okay. So, and I'm like, is it voice to skull? Are these motherfuckers just trying to fuck with my head? Like they've been fucking with my head ever since I moved in? Or is it really me with intuitive, perceptions or whatever it's called, right? Just as a warning so that when it happens, if it happens, I can, one, cope with it and not give up and curl up and die. And two, maybe I can't prevent it, people. You see, that's the thing. That's what Shemai's dream taught me. She was sitting right here. She could have died upstairs smoking a freaking cigarette with that laced fentanyl, and I made the mistake of sending her down. But how the fuck was I supposed to know that her smokes were laced with fentanyl until after the fact? It was confirmed with the fact that Julian showed up and finished her off. That's what confirms it. And then to have the autopsy report come in and saying that she had medical fentanyl. Oh, so now we know why she was sick. Now we know why she was falling asleep. Now we know why she was dizzy. Now we know why she felt nauseated. Because she'd smoke sitting here talking to me and then get up and go, whoa. Yeah, now we know why. But how did I know that they were going to come back and do what they did after the fact in terms of what Julian did? And then the paramedics showing up with that dirty cop cueing fucking Julian so that, it was a distraction, a magic trick, as truth for reality would say. A magic trick. Get her down the hall so that she doesn't notice what they're doing over here. Well, I noticed because I caught them with the hammock. As soon as I walked in and seen her at the hospital, she looked embalmed. And I can prove that she was. But I couldn't stop it, people. Even though my dream told me it was going to happen, I couldn't fucking stop it. Because I wasn't even aware that it was happening at the time that it happened. And when it did happen, it was too late. But having the dream gave me the strength to keep fighting for justice. That's the only thing that I can think of. So, the dreams are back. Only this time the target is my son. Only this time, the target is my son. Because the first dream that I had relating to him, when all that shit went outside and he moved in his girlfriend, and there was that high level of stress that resulted from all that, I had a dream, and I warned him. I literally warned him. I said, Marcane, I had a dream. You need to pay attention and be careful. I don't know what you're thinking about what's going on with your girlfriend and whatever, but people are not necessarily who they say they are. They're coming to you acting like they're your friends, right? But they're going to turn, and they were walking through the basement, right? A bunch of guys. Yeah, and then they turn around and they switch the fucking script on my son. And they stressed him out to the point where he started going, whoa! Because, they set him up, people. That's what they fucking did. They set him up. I'm not exactly sure how they set him up, but his girlfriend was also set up. You see, because there was two little piles of shit there. One big one and one little one, which represented my son being shit on and his girlfriend being shit on by that group of fucking men that walk through the basement from room to room, pretending to be friendly at first, and then turn around and sabotage them both. And because his girlfriend had moved in and all this kerfuffle started after the fact, I told him to be careful with his girlfriend and to be careful of his friends. But as I think over a period of time, the girlfriend was just as much as a victim to whatever was going on in that dream as my son. So whatever was going on, what I'm trying to say, wasn't related to her, even though it seemed that way. And if it was inadvertently. It wasn't directly related to her. She didn't instigate it. It was those men that came in with a smile on their face and then pulled out the fucking daggers after the fact when they thought they can go on the attack without my son fully realizing what the fuck was going on, and that's why he cried out. Well, fast forward it to when my landlady showed up and said, get your son out. so I can move in men. But that's okay. Your son can have one room downstairs with these men. Because it's not going to be one man. I can tell you that right now, people. I know that for a fact. Okay? So, because that's what this morning, I had another dream. And it's making me think, what is the message? Is this voice to skull? Because what happened this morning? What was the dream this morning? Okay. Now we know I'm having issues with my eyes. We know things are starting to look whiter and whiter and blending together, and because I can't define lines depending on the light and whatever. Right? So anyway, what happened in my dream, I don't know, something happened to my eyes where the iris, I have brown irises, you can see that. My irises literally went white, and you basically couldn't even see the pupil. So I just had white in my eyes. So, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, what the fuck, what happened to my eyes? I don't see my irises, I don't see my pupils. They were just two white eyes, nothing else. But if I looked real close, I could see that maybe there was one there at one time in terms of an iris and okay? And I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, like, but people are ignoring that I'm going blind. You see, that's the thing. They think that because I can move and talk and do or whatever, or they just don't care. They don't care, right? They don't care. Right? So even if I came to you with complete white eyes, with no irises and no pupils, you would still ignore the fact that I can't fucking see. But for whatever reason, I could still kind of see a bit. It's a dream, right? So I'm looking, and I'm like, okay. I go to where my son is, and he's in rooms again, 1 or 2 rooms, and building something with doors. I see doors. And I don't know if I'm looking for sympathy or looking for acknowledgement, or, you know, I'm like trying to get his attention, to pay attention to what I'm trying to. If you don't believe me, look for yourself. You don't see irises. You don't even see pupils anymore. All you see is just white shit, because that's how my eyes are starting to be, right? But he ignored me. You see, that's the thing. He ignored me. Instead, he chose to side with other people again. That reminded me, you know how you on the internet and you see people just in a park standing and not moving like zombies. They're just standing there like zombies. People drive by and they see this shit, they get freaked out, right? And they're recording people just standing there like fucking zombies. Not walking, not talking, not flinching, nothing. I'm looking on, I wouldn't call it a hill, but it, you know, on something a little higher up in terms of a platform of some kind, where it was individual and basically men. I didn't get no sense of feel for women, but more like men, right? Where they were just in a row, like a straight row, like ducks in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they had their backs to me, so they were facing that way. As I'm looking, even though I don't have no irises and no pupil, but I can still see. And my son was somehow in that mix, and they all had their back turned against me. And then I woke up. And I'm like, holy shit, another bad fucking dream. What does that mean? What does that fucking mean? But then I think about what my landlady is doing and what that first dream was, with the men coming into the house, walking around, trying to be and then turn around and flick the fucking script and sabotage my son, so much so that it hurt him to make him cry out, and he was in danger. And that's why I warned my son, you are in danger. At first I thought it had something to do with his girlfriend, but then there's that little pile and the big pile of the poop, right? Where, you know, whatever happened to him happened to her too, because she's tiny, he's big, right? So it wasn't anything really to do with her. It had to do with those men that came in and pretended to be my son's friend. Oh, so my landlady's going to move in her son, who's going to move in his friends, while they rent out a room to my son, as if my son is going to be safe. Do you see how it all connects now? But my son, for whatever reason, is stubborn. And he can't internalize what's going on in the world in terms of that satanic fucking destruction of families, first of all, and the deviant behavior of these individuals that are greedy and will do anything to amass great wealth so they can brag between themselves. And they will sacrifice those below that they think are below them. And they plot and scheme to do it. Right? They set the stage. They keep you fighting. And then they fucking blindside you through their energy weapons because, you know, Julian obviously was a puppet to that whole process that what happened to Shemaine. He was groomed to be who he was by those dirty cops that let him sell drugs and get away with the things that he got away with the expectation that he kept up with it and capitalized off of Shemaine's dead body. But for whatever reason, I have a third eye. And it comes through on my dreams. Now, whether that's being instigated through voice to skull, and I'm just naturally protective of my family, and I'm on the defense, and, you know, I don't take it just for face value. I think and think and think and think and think and think and think. And because I've had enough of them to realize that whatever, because I had dreams even before I moved into this house, but they were never bad like this, people. Like, I have had so many bad dreams in this house when it relates to specific family members, and then eventually they all get hurt. Yep. Except I didn't have a dream for Amari. Right? That one really took me by surprise. So I'm getting dreams of warning with my son, who is bliss, completely ignorant and bliss to what I'm trying to tell him, what I'm trying to show him. Even if I go to him with complete white eyes, he's still ignoring the fact that I myself am vulnerable. And he would rather choose to go stand with his friends in a row, like ducks in a fucking row, as if he was a zombie. Because that was the impression that I got when I was looking at those individuals standing in a row with their back to me. And I'm like, wait, you're on your own. That's what it is. You're on your own. Don't depend on your son. You can't. Because he's been captured. He's been captured, what? By the cell phone? Did he get this? And now he's getting hooked up to the cloud? Is he that insecure with life and broken because of all the bad things that have happened to the family that maybe he's given up? And I don't know. I don't know what provokes him to be who he is. All I know is whatever my landlady is trying to do here, I seen it coming in my dream long before she showed up. Okay? Because if she's trying to move men in down there and fuck with my son, to which that's what she's doing. She's using my son to hurt me. As she brings up Sierra to remind me that there's something wrong with all my kids. Right? Because at first she said, your drug-addicted daughters. I said, what? She goes, you know, I said, what, Sierra? She even was implying that Shemay deserved what Shemay got. Because they don't want to take any responsibility for the shit that they fucking bring to vulnerable families as they exploit us to the maximum dollar. In more than one way. But I'm still stuck in that time warp until I leave this house and lose everything. As my landlady rubs it in my face and reminds me I will own nothing except maybe I might be lucky to live in a fucking box. assuming that I can afford it. I'm just saying, people. I'm not making excuses for her. She's 83 years old. I keep asking myself, where do you plan on taking this fucking money? Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Where's the need to, outside of, this is what you teach your kids and your grandkids, and there is no future. Not for us. There is for them, but not for us. Which makes me scared for my son. And even my son knows it. Right along with everybody else that's faced with the same kind of shit. In terms of how those families over there are being gang stalked and forced out of their houses and, you know, or whatever. Only some can prosper while many falter. Many falter so that a few can prosper. And with that comes stress. And for whatever reason, my mind brings me these funky dreams that terrify me. I get terrified in this house with my dreams, people. And my son has been zombified. At this point, think about it, zombified. White eyes with no irises and no pupils, with a bunch of people just standing there like fucking zombies. But clearly I couldn't depend on them because they were zombified. That's what I woke up to. And it's all being provoked from the first dream with those people, those men coming into the house trying to act like, oh, we're your friend, and then quickly turning around and sabotaging my son and including his girlfriend. And I tried to warn my son that, you know, maybe it had something to do with the girlfriend. But it's not anything to do with the girlfriend. It has to do with this ongoing gang stalking that exploits vulnerable families for profit by any means necessary. That's exactly what it's about. And I already walked the talk. John, Shimei, Sierra, Amari, Andre. And we're still being fucking tortured. Because we can't pay $4,400 a month for a fucking house that's going to be tore down that nobody wants to fix while it's standing. Yeah. Yeah. So I have to go out and fix what I can fix. In a fog that's white. And I can barely see. So that's where the white eye comes in from. To what degree it's going to end up completely white? Well, I don't know. All I know is I won't be able to depend on my son because my dream has already told me he's been zombified. Yeah. Because of the negative forces and the satanic energy that's around us as a society. So I don't know. It's just a dream. I tell myself it's just a dream. Don't take it with a grain of salt. But after Shimei and other things, but with Shimei really, after what happened with Shimei, yeah, I can't take it with a grain of salt. I have to, I don't know. I can't protect myself from this shit on people. I just can't. Even when I try and do the right thing, I can't protect myself from this shit. And I can't protect my family against this shit. So why I have these stupid dreams, I don't even know, other than to understand what the hell is going on so that I have better coping skills to get up and go work in the yard. Otherwise, a lot of people would just give up. And that's why they keep doing what they do, because they know most people, well, I wouldn't say most people, but a lot of people. They know a lot of people. The chance of giving up is higher than the chance of them fighting back and, you know, and just whatever, right? They go with chance, right? And then they broad sweep everybody into one big pile of shit, and they all think that all white people are fucking trash and should be treated like trash, unless, of course, you've got money like Eleanor Gilding. If you got money like Eleanor Gilding, who goes around stealing other people's assets, then yeah, they can get with those kind, because they birds of a feather flock together, and, you know, one helps the other one so that they can both prosper. Outside of that, no. They don't give a shit. They really don't. And that's what my dreams remind me of. So it's like living in an environment where you're always walking on landmines, and you never know when one will just blow up. You just don't know. But they're definitely fucking targeting my son now, because my daughters are dead. Yeah. You call up Sierra's name? Why? Why? As you're attacking my son? Why? Why? You bringing in strange men into my house, acting like it's going to be a friendly fucking situation, with me living upstairs now paying $2,200 a month as you move in your fucking UN soldiers downstairs, and maybe, just maybe, might give my son and his girlfriend a one bedroom so that you can get richer at 84 years old? Like why? Who provokes you to do this? Is this what your kids expect of you? At least my son doesn't expect that from me. Right? Go hurt other people, Mom, so I can be rich. He never asked me to do that. He's turned his back on me because he's zombified with his fucking friends, because they don't know what else to do. They don't know how to fight back on this shit. So in order to feel safe, they band together and they turn their back and they look the other way, hoping that whatever's happening to me won't happen to them. Well, whatever. Why? Why you turn your back on me? Why? With your, I don't know what you're standing with. And two different groups. Whatever was walking through the basement was not the group that was standing there in a row, fucking zombified. You know? Like meats on a hook. Just waiting to be pulled off and go done something. They had no nothing. They were just shells of humans. Whatever was there was zombified. Broken spirits. Devoid of anything outside of a shell of a body. One after another, after another, after another, as my son was in that line looking away. And I'm like, holy shit. How can I have white everything and still see this shit? That didn't make any sense to me. It didn't. Anyway. So now I'm thinking, well, yeah, everything one day you're gonna wake up is gonna be completely fucking white, and then it's just gonna blink out and go black. Or God forbid, if I have my eyes open all the time and everything's just glaring white at me. That would be terrible. I'd rather go with the black before I'd go with the white. Right? So, I don't know what my future holds. I just don't know. Anyway, he's fussing, so I gotta go.